Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Friday, which means that there is a new video to put up. And just to kind of follow you along with what we've been talking about on my page, we're talking about housing. It's a huge issue with people of my generation in my situation. And I really just want to talk more and elaborate on that. As many of you know, I have moved more times in the last 20 years than I can count. For many of you that know me, there was a time where people would come up to me and one of the first things they would say is, "Where are you living now?" It's that much that I have moved. And I think when people talk about the housing crisis, they talk about, where you're going to live or the pricing. But I want to talk about something different. I want to talk about the trauma that comes along with that, because I've lived it. I want to start by saying this is not an isolated thing. This is something that's not just happening on Long Island, it's happening all over the country. And again, just like with everything else on my page, I know I'm not the only one experiencing it, so I'm bringing it out there to share so that way we can create community. Maybe we can help each other to get ourselves out of this. So what I'll do is, I'm just going to tell you about when I started as a young adult. I was kind of bouncing around. I was in college. You live with a roommate, you move out. And, at first it seems like a totally normal thing to do. I became a mother in 2009 and subsequently became a single mother in the years following. And reality really hit very hard. I was a college-educated woman. I was working hard, full-time, but the squeeze of rent, which at the time was about $1,600 a month, plus the burden of my student loans, childcare expenses, which back then was about $1,200 a month, car, insurance, the whole nine. Even back then, and I'm going back to 2011, the math was not mathing. It was extremely difficult to survive. And as many millennials know, instead of being embraced or understood, many of our elders and the government and society as large said, well, you're just lazy. You should be able to buy a house by now and you should be able to do it. But that's not the reality. That's not the reality, even in the least. Because what they don't realize is that even though I was making more than the median, the fact that I had student loans made it where getting credit was almost impossible. And getting a mortgage was even harder, because when you're paying 30 to 40% of your income to childcare, there leaves very, very little room, if any, to save. So, there's very little support, and, housing really became instability instead of security. And then in 2014, I met my current partner, and I really thought that at that point, maybe that would mean a little bit of stability. But, life is still very complicated. We're a blended family. We had to go through a divorce and the child support and dealing with stepchildren and co-parenting and all the complications that go along with it. I got an interruption. Okay, back again. It gets hard. Life is hard. But it didn't have to be this way. There really could have been an easier way to get assistance for childcare, student loan relief, housing affordability. What it did teach me was to find resources in the community to assist me. And I now use a lot of that information to help people when they find out that they need help with housing or where they can go. There are resources. You just need to know where to look for them. So let's talk about, the last couple of years. The last 6 years was sort of stable. We were living in our home. And as you guys know, we had to move out of our home last fall. And since then, we've been kind of bouncing around and dealing with temporary living situations, really hard family situations, raising our kids, and just trying to maintain. It has taken a turn because we are going to be buying a house. It's getting to the point where it is actually easier to buy something here on Long Island than it is to rent. To rent, you need about the same as a down payment on the house, plus a far better credit score than FHA qualifies for. So we're kind of at an impasse. And because of our situation, we are going to be moving about a half an hour east to where we are, and we have to pull our kids out of a great school district. We have to do all of the things. How many other people are living like this? I know I'm probably an extreme case because, of course, I am. But I know that there are mothers, women, gentlemen, young people, older folks that are questioning how they're going to make their rent every month, how they're going to pay their mortgage. We considered multi-generational living. That did not work, and that's a completely different story for a different time. I even considered moving. All right, another interruption. So what I was saying was I even considered moving back in with my parents out of state. That really isn't an option either. And, towards mostly women, I know that there's a lot of women out there that stay in unhealthy relationships because they have nowhere to go. I'm looking at you, trad wives. Watch out. So where we are now is great. I mean, it's not perfect. Through the kindness of friendship, I have housing, I have a roof over my head, and by given that opportunity, we're lucky enough that we are able to purchase something. The idea of having a permanent home means the world to me. There are trauma responses to living this way that I don't think people see. One major one is for many, many years, I didn't decorate my home. It didn't seem necessary if I knew that I was going to be out of there in a year or two. That it wasn't until I moved into my last place after about 2 or 3 years that I really did start decorating the house, because in my head, even though we were stable there was always an idea, a specter of us getting kicked out. So these incidents show themselves in really a lot of different ways. And what I've been doing the last year is learning what those responses are, learning why I was not really put, but how I ended up in some of these situations and what I could do to avoid it in the future. And that takes a lot of growth. It takes a lot of self-reflection, a lot of tears, and hopefully, which I always am, I'm always very hopeful, this will be the last time I move, ever. I cannot imagine not having a place to stay, and now that we are in a position where it's our permanent spot, I'm so ingrained in staying there, I can't imagine myself leaving. So, welcome to my world. I want to welcome everybody here. Please tell me if you're in the same situation. If you're here in Suffolk County, New York, and you need help, please reach out to me for resources. I'm uncannily good at finding money in weird spots that could help you get a home, get food, get clothes, diapers, whatever you need. Long Island is really great for that. There's a lot of great communities that will help you. And that's it. That's what I've been thinking about. Today we're going to inspect our home. It's crazy. But I'm not ready to exhale yet. When I sit with you folks on my deck or in my greenhouse or in my new spot, we'll celebrate. We'll smoke. Absolutely, we'll smoke anyway. But maybe we'll even have a drink because, I'm not much of a drinker, but maybe we'll have a drink. So anyway, like, share, subscribe. Hit me up in the comments if you have anything that's similar to this, if you've been through this. And I'll see you guys next week.